Ethan Cole, a millionaire on the brink of remarriage, found his world upended when his ex-wife reappeared with his identical triplets. Prepare yourself for a whirlwind tale of love, betrayal, hidden secrets, and second chances. You'll witness how one man's picture-perfect world is turned upside down in the blink of an eye. Ethan Cole, a self-made millionaire, was steps away from the altar with the woman of his dreams, Olivia Hayes, only for his long-lost ex-wife, Sophia Miller, to arrive with news so shocking it threatened to unravel his very existence. This story is laced with heartbreak, breathtaking twists, and an unforeseen miracle that forces everyone to confront the truth they've been running from. Ethan Cole was the kind of man who, at first glance, appeared to have it all. Everyone in New York's elite circles knew his name. He didn't inherit his wealth. Rather, he built it from the ground up through an ambitious real estate empire, Cole Enterprises. By his mid-30s, Ethan stood at the helm, controlling luxury properties scattered across Manhattan, London, and even Singapore. His tall, lean frame, impeccably tailored suits, and commanding aura made him a central figure at high society galas. Now, at 38, Ethan had decided to propose to Olivia Hayes, a stylish socialite and marketing entrepreneur with a sterling reputation. Their engagement was the talk of the town. Photographers snapped away as the impeccably dressed couple clinked champagne flutes at the Crystal Ballroom, a top-tier New York event hall. Olivia, radiant in a custom-made silver dress, had instantly said yes, tears of excitement streaming down her face. Despite all the sparkle and the wave of congratulations, no one really knew the latent storm brewing beneath Ethan's polished exterior. The few who truly understood Ethan's past recognized that this wedding might be carrying more baggage than he or Olivia had anticipated. Among them were his devoted assistant, Emily Carter, a reserved and sharply intelligent woman who had been his confidant for years, and his old friend Michael Davis from Jacksonville, Florida. Michael had gone to college with Ethan and had witnessed the euphoric early years of his first marriage and the subsequent heartbreak. Yet, no one dared mention Ethan's ex-wife, Sophia Miller, in front of Olivia. It was an unwritten rule. The name Sophia never even grazed Ethan's lips. He had closed that chapter so resolutely that not even his close friends felt comfortable bringing her up. But that chapter was far from over. Sophia Miller had once been Sophia Cole. She was raised in a middle-class family in Buffalo, New York. When she met Ethan, he was still an up-and-coming real estate broker, burning the candle at both ends to close deals. Their connection was instant, two ambitious individuals hell-bent on creating a life they believed they deserved. They married young, at 25, with stars in their eyes and hearts brimming with confidence. Ethan used to credit Sophia for opening his eyes to the value of philanthropic work, while he possessed the strategic prowess to build a thriving empire. Sophia had the emotional intelligence and fervent idealism that balanced his world. She taught him that wealth without purpose meant little. But the pressures of Ethan's rapidly expanding empire began to weigh heavily on their marriage. Long working hours, media scrutiny, and the constant social demands drove a wedge between them. Arguments flared over the smallest issues, from how much money was appropriate to invest in philanthropic work to whether or not they should move across the country for better business opportunities. The final straw had been a failed pregnancy attempt, which triggered heartbreak and blame. Ultimately, they parted ways abruptly. Ethan believed Sophia wanted the divorce, while Sophia recalled Ethan filing the papers first. The separation was swift and brutal. Sophia vanished from his life soon after, citing that she wanted to start fresh, free from the toxicity that had ensnared them. In the heat of the moment, Ethan never learned her final words or the tears she shed behind closed doors. As Ethan admired the sparkling diamond ring on Olivia's finger, he tried to ignore his growing, inexplicable sense of dread. Sometimes, at the quiet edges of the day, between business negotiations and power lunches, he'd recall Sophia's laugh, the way she'd rest her head on his shoulder, or how she challenged him with unwavering moral conviction. "Ethan," Olivia said softly, noticing his distraction. They were in his penthouse in Manhattan, a modern marvel of glass windows overlooking Central Park. "You seem distant. Everything all right?" "Yes, darling," he said, forcing a smile. "Just a bit tired. So much going on at work." He told himself it was merely nerves about the wedding. But deep down, he suspected something bigger loomed. A sense that perhaps he hadn't truly severed all ties to the life he used to have. Olivia offered a supportive nod, but Ethan sensed her hesitation. Olivia was no fool. She recognized a shadow haunted her fiancé, though she had no idea it had a name. Their conversation was interrupted by Emily Carter, who appeared with a polite knock. "Mr. Cole, you asked to be informed if there was any unusual correspondence." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Yes, Emily." She stepped forward, handing him a manila envelope. This was delivered by courier. The address and handwriting are unfamiliar. Olivia, a bit curious, watched as Ethan opened it. Inside, he found a simple letter. The content made his breath catch in his throat. "Ethan, we need to talk urgently. It's been years, but I cannot put this off any longer. I'll be in New York next week, specifically at the Grandview Hotel. Sophia." He reread that name again and again, each time more surreal. Olivia asked, "Who is it from?" But he simply shook his head, tucking the letter away. "Nothing urgent," he lied. "Just an old contact. Emily, please file it." The moment Emily left, he excused himself to the study. He tried to focus, telling himself it was probably about some old philanthropic matter. But as the days ticked by, the letter burned a hole in his mind. What on earth could she want? Now, in the days leading up to the Grandview Hotel rendezvous, Ethan dove deeper into wedding preparations with Olivia. The pair toured potential venues for a grand ceremony, botanical gardens, historical cathedrals, even a private island. Ethan's wallet allowed for any fantasy to become reality. Yet, none of these options felt particularly meaningful. He tried to share Olivia's enthusiasm, but his mind hovered around the letter. Olivia once again noticed Ethan's distraction. She decided to ask Michael Davis for insight. Michael, who had flown in for an upcoming charity event, was startled to see Olivia at his hotel doorstep late one evening. "Olivia, I need to ask you something," she said after a brief greeting. She confided in him that Ethan was distracted and anxious, unable to fully engage in their wedding planning. Michael shifted uncomfortably, not wanting to betray Ethan's trust. But seeing Olivia's obvious concern, he relented a little. "He's got a past. Leave. Michael said gently, the same as many of us do. But for Ethan, it's more complicated. Olivia frowned. It's about his ex, isn't it? Michael stared at the floor. Yes, Sophia. The tension in the air was thick as Olivia pressed further. But Michael provided only minimal details, how they married young, divorced abruptly, and parted ways in near silence. Nonetheless, that was enough. Olivia recognized this was more than an average heartbreak. She worried if this unresolved history might come back to threaten their engagement. The Grandview Hotel was a stately building, rich with old-world charm. Its marble floors gleamed under ornate chandeliers. Ethan checked his reflection in a mirrored wall, adjusting his charcoal gray suit. His stomach was knotted with a mix of dread and curiosity. He found Sophia waiting in the lounge. She looked different, but still heartbreakingly familiar. Her dark hair, once cut short, now framed her face in soft waves. She wore a tailored navy blouse and black slacks that exuded a quiet elegance. For a moment, they stared at each other in silence, the air buzzing with everything they'd left unsaid for so long. Ethan, she greeted, voice trembling slightly. Sophia, he managed, though his throat felt tight. They sat at a secluded table in the corner. The hum of piano music and the clink of champagne glasses around them formed a background that allowed them a modicum of privacy. He struggled to look her in the eye. Why did you reach out after all these years? She took a breath, seeming uncertain where to begin. I've debated this for so long, she started, her voice cracking. I know it's sudden, but I need to tell you something about our past. Ethan's heart thumped. He'd prepared himself for 1,000 possible reveals, that she was sick, that she needed financial help, that she was writing a book about their marriage. None prepared him for her next sentence. I was pregnant, Sophia said softly, when we got divorced. Time seemed to freeze. Ethan's hand, previously resting on the table, curled into a fist. How? He stammered. You never told me. She took a shaky breath. I tried, but you had filed the papers, and every attempt I made to talk to you through your attorneys led nowhere. The stress got to me. I had complications. I couldn't do anything but leave. I was scared. He swallowed, reeling. What happened to? She reached into her purse, pulling out her phone. With trembling fingers, she tapped at it until she found 3 pictures. 3 young boys, each with wavy dark hair and the same bright eyes as Ethan. They're your sons? She said simply. Identical triplets. Ethan felt as though the ground had disappeared beneath him. His mind was a tornado of questions. My sons. Triplets. How is that possible? Where have they been all these years? They're healthy. Thank God. Sophia continued, tears glistening in her eyes. Their names are Liam, Noah, and Owen. They're almost 8 now. We live in Seattle. I tried so many times to call you, to reach out, to do something. And each time I lost the nerve, or the contact information changed, or I feared I'd be intruding on a life you'd built without me. He was speechless. The magnitude of her revelation slammed him like a sledgehammer. Everything he'd thought about his future changed in the blink of an eye. He found his voice, barely above a whisper. Why now? Sophia. She swallowed. I found out about your engagement. I realized if I didn't come forward now, I might never do it. Our boys have the right to know their father, and you deserve to know them, too. A swirl of emotions coursed through Ethan, anger at her secrecy, guilt for not making more effort to communicate after the divorce, and beneath it all, an indescribable longing to meet these children who were apparently his flesh and blood. Ethan remained at the Grandview Hotel bar for long minutes after Sophia left. She had told him she'd be in town for a few days if he wanted to meet the boys. Eventually, the bartender tapped him on the shoulder, nudging him that it was closing time. Still, Ethan felt pinned to his seat by the weight of this staggering revelation. By the time he arrived home, it was nearly 3 o'clock in the morning. Olivia was waiting up in the living room, concern etched across her face. She rushed toward him, arms outstretched, but paused at the tormented expression on his face. "Ethan, what happened?" she asked. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then he blurted out, "Sophia had my children. I'm a father to triplets." Olivia's face drained of color. She was so stunned she could barely formulate a response. "Triplets," she repeated, as though testing out how such a word could ever apply to her fiancé. "Yes," Ethan said, running a hand over his face. 8-year-old boys. I had no idea." Olivia sank down onto a nearby chair. This is a lot to take in. My God, are you sure they're yours?" He gave a hollow laugh, tears threatening to form in his eyes. "Liv, the photos alone were enough to convince me. They look just like me at that age. Same hair, same eyes. There's no doubt." Her posture stiffened, a swirl of emotions crossing her features: shock, confusion, perhaps even jealousy. She was engaged to a man whose entire life had just changed. "So, what does this mean for us?" she whispered. He wanted to reassure her, to say this changed nothing about their engagement. But could he honestly say that? Everything felt upended. "I need to meet them," he stated. "I owe them that much. After that, I need to figure out. I don't even know what to figure out first. Just let me handle this, and we'll talk." Olivia nodded, though her expression remained tense. "All right," she said quietly. "Just keep me in the loop, please." The next day, Ethan arranged a private luncheon at a quiet bistro near Central Park. He wanted the first meeting with his sons to be in a welcoming setting. When Sophia arrived with Liam, Noah, and Owen, Ethan's heart nearly stopped. The 3 boys, identical down to the last detail, gazed at him curiously. They were shy at first. Sophia gently encouraged them to greet their father. Their father. Ethan's heart pounded at the phrase. He knelt down, leveling his gaze with theirs. "Hey guys," he murmured, voice thick with emotion. I'm Ethan. Your dad." Liam, the oldest by 5 minutes, studied him with wide eyes and asked, "How come you never came to see us before?" Ethan's throat seized up. How to explain the unexplainable? "I didn't know," he replied softly. "Your mom only told me recently. But now that I know, I want to be part of your lives." The boys eyed him with a complex mix of curiosity and apprehension. They had grown up hearing bits and pieces about their father, but never quite understanding why he wasn't around. Sophia had tried to paint Ethan in a positive light. But as the boys got older, their questions grew more pointed. Slowly, the ice began to melt. Ethan asked about their interests, their school, and their favorite activities. Liam proudly spoke of his love for painting, especially abstracts. Noah was obsessed with baseball, particularly the Seattle Mariners. Owen read every encyclopedia he could get his hands on. He was the self-proclaimed know-it-all of the trio. Ethan found himself enthralled by every detail they revealed, absorbing their words like a parched desert soaking in rain. Throughout the luncheon, Sophia remained cautious but allowed the father and sons to connect. And connect they did, with Ethan feeling an indescribable mixture of love, regret, and wonder. By the time dessert arrived, the boys were giggling at his stories of business adventures. Though he selectively edited out the stressful parts, he tried to keep the tone upbeat, not wanting to overwhelm them. When the meeting ended, the boys offered him shy hugs. It nearly broke him. He felt an acute sense of what he'd missed: the birthdays, the first days of school, the nights they had the flu. Sophia gave him a small, tentative smile as they parted ways. "We'll be here a few more days, so just let me know if you'd like to see them again before we return to Seattle." He nodded, still dazed by the monumental shift in his life. Later that evening, Ethan found Olivia at the penthouse, sipping a glass of wine in her silk robe. She was flipping through wedding catalogs, though her expression was subdued. "How was it?" she asked, setting the magazine aside. Ethan exhaled. "Incredible. Overwhelming. I had no idea what to say or do, but they're amazing." Olivia forced a smile. "I'm happy you got to meet them." Her fingers fiddled with the edge of the magazine. Ethan sensed she was brimming with anxiety. "Talk to me, Olivia." She set her wine glass down. "Ethan, you know I love you, but this changes everything. Are you going to bring them to New York? Move them here? How will that work with me? With us?" He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm not sure yet. Sophia lives in Seattle with them. They have their lives, their school. I need time to figure out how to be a father at this stage, to maybe set up visitation or something more permanent. I owe it to them." Olivia swallowed hard. "Okay. And Sophia? What about her? I trust you. But it's not exactly easy to have your fiancé's ex-wife suddenly be part of your daily life. This is going to mean a big shift." He moved closer, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "I know, but these are my kids. I can't ignore this. I want to step up." She nodded. "I understand. Just promise you won't leave me out." Ethan pressed a soft kiss to her temple, silently praying that he could balance these tectonic changes without losing Olivia or losing himself. Meanwhile, Sophia was in her hotel suite. The boys were sprawled out on the sofa, enthralled by a cartoon. She paced near the window, gazing at the bustling lights of Manhattan. She had hoped their first meeting would go well, and it did. Better than she dared to dream. But she was wrestling with the complicated knot of old feelings for Ethan. She recalled the good times, how he'd surprise her with cheap roadside flowers after a long day at the office, the nights they'd stay up late planning philanthropic endeavors. She also remembered the fiery arguments, slamming doors, and devastating finality of their divorce. "Mom," one called out, tearing her from her thoughts. Dad said he wants to see us again tomorrow. Can we? She mustered a smile. Yes, sweetheart. We can. The truth was, she didn't know how to navigate the newly reopened channels with Ethan. She also worried about the boys' futures. They deserved a father. But what if Ethan's fiancée insisted they keep their distance? Sophia couldn't bear letting them get closer, only to be pushed away again. Later that night, she received a text from Emily Carter, Ethan's personal assistant, who offered to arrange a private outing. Sophia felt a strange sense of relief and anxiety combined. At least Ethan was taking an active role, but she sensed new tensions might be rising on his side. The second meeting took place at the American Museum of Natural History, a perfect spot for the inquisitive triplets. Ethan arrived early, feeling a surge of anticipation. This time, he'd come prepared with small gifts, a painting kit for Liam, a baseball glove for Noah, and an illustrated science encyclopedia for Owen. The children's faces lit up as they each received something tailored to their interests. Sophia stood slightly behind them, her lips curved in a grateful smile. Throughout the visit, the boys peppered him with questions about his work, his favorite sports, and what he liked to do for fun. Their curiosity was boundless. A sense of pride and responsibility blossomed in Ethan's chest. He found himself feeling unexpectedly protective. At one point, when Noah dashed off toward a T-Rex exhibit, Ethan's heart lurched. He realized how fierce paternal love could be. Sophia caught his eye and smiled wryly. It was as if they shared an unspoken acknowledgement that parenthood was a challenging, lifelong commitment. They ended their excursion at the museum cafe, nibbling on pastries and soda. As the boys recounted their favorite exhibits, Sophia slipped off to the restroom. Ethan took the opportunity to quietly ask them about their life in Seattle. "Do you guys like your school?" he asked, leaning in with genuine interest. Liam nodded. "Mom teaches art classes at a community center sometimes, too. She's really good." Noah's face lit up. "We all play sports, but she's real busy. She tries to come to every game, though." Owen looked a bit uncertain. "Are you going to come visit us sometime?" Ethan felt a pang in his chest. "I promise I'll try," he answered softly. "No, scratch that. I will. I'll find a way." The boys grinned. They'd heard talk of Dad for years, but never had the reality. Ethan silently vowed not to let them down again. Word travels fast in New York's upper crust, especially when it concerns the personal life of a high-profile millionaire. Whispers began circling that Ethan Cole's ex-wife was in town and that he was, in fact, a father. Gossip columns speculated about the potential impact on Ethan's upcoming wedding to Olivia. Olivia tried to appear composed, but she could feel eyes on her whenever she attended social events. Friends and acquaintances peppered her with well-intentioned questions laced with intrigue about the rumor of triplets. Even her mother, Eleanor Hayes, a formidable matriarch who adored social standing, made veiled comments about how unfortunate the timing of this all was. "Darling," Eleanor told Olivia over tea, "you can't let this overshadow your big day. This is your wedding. The media will eat it up if there's any hint of scandal." Olivia bristled. "Mother, these are his children. There's nothing scandalous about them existing. It's just complicated." Eleanor pursed her lips. "Well, you do what you think is right. But don't forget what a wedding meltdown can do to a public figure's reputation. Olivia felt her stomach churn. It wasn't just about a wedding meltdown. It was about the man she loved suddenly discovering he was a father, and all the emotional entanglements that came with it. She didn't want to stand between Ethan and his children, but she also feared their presence might redefine everything. Back at the penthouse, Ethan was trying to finalize some investment deals, but found himself hopelessly distracted. He needed to see the kids one more time before they flew back to Seattle. And he also had a philanthropic foundation meeting in Los Angeles at the end of the week. His schedule was spiraling out of control. Yet, none of it mattered as much as forging a new relationship with his sons. He decided to have an honest conversation with Sophia. That evening, they met alone at a cozy corner in a downtown restaurant. The boys back at the hotel with a babysitter. Ethan needed some clarity, not just about the boys, but about Sophia, and even about himself. "Let me help," he told her once they were seated. "Financially, for starters. School, health, everything. I want to be involved." She offered a tremulous smile. "I didn't come here for child support, Ethan. But yes, they need their father." She paused. "They deserve to know you. And if you want to help, that's wonderful. But you should know, they're not just little kids you can spoil for a month and then vanish. If you commit, you commit." He nodded vehemently. "I understand. And I want to commit." She seemed relieved. But Ethan sensed something deeper weighed on her mind. "Sophia," he said gently, "are you okay? Really?" She looked away. Life in Seattle has been manageable, but it's not easy raising triplets, especially financially. I have a small studio where I teach art part-time. Between that and what I earn as a freelance graphic designer, it's enough to keep us afloat. But it's tough, especially as they get older. Ethan's chest constricted with guilt. For 8 years, Sophia had borne the financial and emotional load of raising 3 children alone. Meanwhile, he'd been steadily expanding his empire. He reached out and covered her hand with his. I wish we had done things differently." She pressed her lips together, tears threatening to spill. "Me, too." A hush fell over them, thick with all that could have been. But they both knew the past couldn't be undone. Finally, Sophia asked, "And what about your fiancée? Olivia, right?" He nodded. "Olivia is grappling with this. She's supportive in her own way, but it's a lot for her, and I can't blame her. We were planning our wedding, and then," he gestured helplessly, "life changed." Sophia nodded, looking down at her wine glass. I don't want to cause problems in your relationship, Ethan. But the boys," she trailed off, her meaning clear. "I understand," he reassured. "Our relationship, Olivia isn't mine. We'll adapt, or it won't. But my responsibility is clear. I can't walk away from my children." At that, Sophia looked more at ease. They continued to talk about the boys' schedules, their personalities, and the best ways to communicate. By the end of the meal, they had laid the groundwork for a co-parenting arrangement. The conversation was civil, even caring. But Ethan couldn't ignore the echo of old feelings lingering in their words. The following afternoon, events took an unexpected turn. Olivia decided she wanted to meet Sophia face to face. The anxiety building within her had reached a tipping point. She called Sophia, who hesitantly agreed to coffee at the Grandview Hotel's cafe. When Olivia arrived, she wore a pale cream skirt suit, exuding an air of calm. In truth, her heart pounded like a drum. Sophia arrived in a modest floral dress, looking equally tense. "Thank you for meeting me," Olivia began softly. Sophia nodded. "I suppose it's something we both need, for clarity's sake." The conversation started stiffly, neither woman wanting to spark conflict. Olivia asked about the boys, how they were faring, what their interests were, if they liked their father so far. Sophia spoke with motherly pride, describing each boy's distinctive quirks. A flicker of a smile crossed Olivia's lips. I've never really been around kids much, but I'm happy Ethan is getting to know them." Sophia's face softened. "I understand if it's difficult for you. I know this is a big upheaval." Olivia exhaled shakily. "It is, but I also know how important it is for them to have a father. I won't stand in the way." Sophia seemed relieved, but also cautious. "Just so you know, I'm not trying to derail your wedding or anything. I came here so the boys could meet Ethan." Olivia nodded, swirling her coffee absently. "I want to believe that." Silence blanketed their table. They both recognized the fragility of the situation. Then, almost unexpectedly, Olivia asked the one question that had been gnawing at her. "Do you still love him?" Sophia froze. She stared at the steam rising from her coffee. "It's not that simple," she finally said. "We have a history. I'll always care about him. But our lives, they're not the same anymore." Olivia studied her, searching for sincerity. "All right," she said, her voice trembling just a bit. "I guess that's all I needed to hear for now." They parted with a cautious handshake, neither quite sure what the future held. 2 nights later, Ethan was expected at a major charity ball benefiting underprivileged youth, an event that Michael Davis and many others in Ethan's professional network would attend. Olivia was supposed to accompany him, but an hour before departure, she called him from her mother's townhouse. "I can't make it," she admitted. "I'm feeling overwhelmed. I hope you understand." Ethan's chest tightened with worry. "We'll talk after," he assured her. He arrived at the glitzy venue alone, though his mind was hardly on philanthropy or schmoozing. Journalists, including the notorious Jessica Vance, swarmed him with questions about rumored fatherhood, seeking a sensational headline. Ethan ignored them as politely as possible, eventually seeking refuge with Michael, who tried to divert the press. When Ethan finally found a moment of respite near the ornate fountain in the courtyard, he pulled out his phone to check on the boys. Sophia had texted him pictures of them exploring Central Park earlier that day. A rare smile lit his face as he looked at their joyful expressions. But the moment of calm was abruptly shattered when Jessica Vance cornered him. "Mr. Cole, is it true you fathered 3 children with your ex-wife and kept it secret? Did your fiancé know?" Ethan clenched his jaw, suppressing a surge of anger. "Excuse me," he said firmly, pushing past her. On a normal day, he would handle such inquiries with practiced composure, but his emotional well of patience was dangerously low. At that moment, Michael approached. "You okay, Mun?" he asked, eyes filled with concern. Ethan forced a nod, just tired of the speculation. I need to find a way to announce this on my own terms. Michael placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Whatever you need. I've got your back. The rest of the evening was an endless cycle of forced smiles and discreet evasions. By the time Ethan returned to the penthouse, he felt numb. Olivia wasn't home, and he found himself wishing he could talk to someone who understood him. Without fully thinking, he dialed Sophia's number. She picked up, voice sleepy. Hello. Hello. It's me, he said softly. I'm sorry if I woke you. I just had a rough night. The press is swarming with rumors. Sophia paused. I'm sorry. Ethan, I didn't mean for any of this to bring negative attention to you. He sank onto the couch, an ache forming in his chest. I know it's not your fault. I just feel everything spinning out of control. They spoke for a few more minutes, exchanging quiet reassurances. After he hung up, Ethan realized that this was the first time in almost a decade he'd confided in Sophia that way, and it felt strangely comforting. The next day, Olivia returned to the penthouse, wearing a resolute expression. She found Ethan in his study, poring over documents, but clearly distracted. We need to talk, she said, her voice taut. Ethan motioned for her to seat. Of course. She fiddled with the ring on her finger, her gaze unwavering. Last night, my mother and I had a conversation about everything that's happening. She's concerned about our reputation, our wedding. But I realized I'm worried for a different reason. Us. Our relationship. Ethan swallowed hard. I understand this is all happening so fast. She took a deep breath. Ethan, I love you, but I'm not ready to become an instant stepmother to 3 8-year-olds. And I don't know if I ever will be. A pang of sorrow hit him. Liv, I'm not asking you to become their stepmother overnight. But they're my children. They need me. I have to be involved in their lives. She nodded slowly, tears brimming in her eyes. I know. That's why I'm giving you a choice. If you want to keep things as they were, just you and me, building our future, I need you to set clear boundaries. At least until we're married and stable. He felt a chill race down his spine. Boundaries. They're my kids. Olivia. Her voice trembled. I know, but this changes my entire life. 2. I didn't sign up for an ex-wife. And definitely not triplets. If you want me, you have to limit contact until after the wedding. After we're married, we can figure out a structured way to introduce them into our lives. Ethan's heart pounded with shock. He tried to keep his voice steady. I can't do that. They've already spent 8 years without me. I can't ask them to wait longer because it's inconvenient. That's cruel. Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks. Then I'm not sure I can marry you. I'm sorry. A heavy silence fell. She slipped off her engagement ring, setting it carefully on his desk. I need time away to think. If you decide you want our old life more than the chaos of fatherhood, call me. Otherwise, I guess this is goodbye. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. She stood, her posture stiff, and left the study. Moments later, he heard the door to the penthouse close behind her. Ethan sank into his chair, staring at the ring's glittering facets. In one swift move, Everything he'd built with Olivia seemed to crumble. Ethan spent the next day in a fog. Emily was the first to notice his shattered composure. He told her in clipped sentences that Olivia had ended their engagement. Emily gave a sympathetic nod, placed a cup of black coffee on his desk, and said, "I'm here if you need anything, Mr. Cole." He thanked her, but he felt utterly alone. The days that followed were a blur. He attended business meetings with mechanical precision, turning down calls from curious tabloids. He made no public statement about the triplets, deciding it was a private matter. Michael tried to invite him out for a drink, but Ethan declined, too exhausted to socialize. Late one night, Sophia called. "We're flying back to Seattle in 2 days," she said. "The boys start school soon." Ethan's heart sank. "I'd like to see them once more before you go." Sophia hesitated. "You don't sound good. Are you all right?" He paused, debating how much to confide. "Olivia." She left. A sharp intake of breath. "I'm sorry." Ethan closed his eyes, tears threatening. "It's complicated. I don't blame the kids. I don't blame you. I guess I just never expected my life to turn upside down so fast." Sophia's voice was tender. "I understand. If you want to talk, I'm here." "Thanks," he whispered. They agreed to meet at her Grandview Hotel suite. This time, Ethan found the boys in pajamas, excitedly packing up their souvenirs from New York. He sat with them on the couch, carefully telling them he would stay in closer contact and visit them in Seattle soon. Each boy looked sad but nodded, hugging him tight. Sophia quietly observed, a shadow of pain crossing her eyes. She offered him a seat on the balcony, away from the boy's ears. He sat down, gazing at the sparkling city lights. "I lost Olivia," he said bluntly. "She couldn't handle all this." Sophia hesitantly placed a hand on his arm. "I'm sorry. I know what it's like to lose someone you love." He let out a bitter laugh. "Ironically, I've lost both you and her now." He paused, feeling the weight of old wounds. "Sophia, I never stopped caring about you, but I thought we were done forever. And now..." Her eyes glistened. "You're not alone in this. We have 3 incredible kids who want to know you. That's something, right?" He nodded, swiping at a tear. "Yeah, it is." In that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were no longer naive lovers, but 2 broken people tethered by their love for 3 little souls. Whatever personal feelings they once had, the children now came first. That single fact gave them a shared purpose. Over the following weeks, Ethan reorganized his life. He flew to Seattle for a weekend visit, announcing plans to see the boys at least once every month. Though the tabloids continued to swirl, he ignored them, focusing on building a bond with Liam, Noah, and Owen. He toured their school, met their teachers, and listened intently to each boy's stories. He also began depositing funds into a college trust for them, ensuring their financial security. He and Sophia navigated co-parenting territory with cautious optimism. They established a schedule for calls and FaceTime chats. Ethan discovered the boys' quirks, Noah's unstoppable energy that required plenty of backyard baseball, Liam's moody artistic temperaments, Owen's unstoppable thirst for knowledge. During these visits, Ethan sometimes shared quiet dinners with Sophia, discussing child-rearing strategies or joking about how each boy inherited one of Ethan's old habits, like Noah's habit of drumming his fingers when impatient. The more time they spent together, the more they remembered what they once found so special in each other. But they also recalled the arguments and heartbreak that ended their marriage, both treading carefully, unsure if the past could remain closed or if it might open once more. One cold autumn evening, just as Ethan was settling in after a flight back from Seattle, his phone buzzed. Olivia's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, he hesitated, heart pounding. Then he answered. "Hello." She spoke softly. Ethan, I'd like to talk. In person." His voice was guarded. "All right. Where?" She suggested a quiet restaurant downtown. He arrived first, choosing a table in a secluded corner. When Olivia walked in, dressed elegantly in a navy coat, a swirl of memories rushed back to him. They'd once laughed and planned a future together in spaces just like this. "How are you?" she asked, seating herself. He exhaled. "I'm coping. Busy with the boys. With work. You?" She offered a sad smile. "I've been reflecting. I know I gave you an ultimatum, and maybe that was unfair. But you have to understand how blindsided I felt. Everything changed so quickly." He nodded. "I do understand. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry for the shock. But I can't ignore my children." She reached out, placing her hand over his. "I realize that now. I realize that if I truly love you, I have to accept the whole package, even if it scares me." Hope flickered in Ethan's heart. "So, what are you saying?" She took a deep breath. "I'm saying that if you'll have me back, I want to try again. But I need some reassurances that you'll include me in decisions. That you won't let Sophia overshadow us." Ethan's heart tightened at the mention of Sophia. "Olivia, I want you in my life. But you must understand that Sophia is their mother. She and I share a responsibility. This isn't about overshadowing. It's about co-parenting. If you can accept that, we can move forward." Olivia nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. "I'll try. I love you, Ethan." He squeezed her hand. A swirl of guilt, relief, and uncertainty rushed through him. He wondered if they could find a way to integrate the boys into their life together without resurrecting old tensions. Yet, for the moment, her willingness to come back felt like a lifeline. They left the restaurant, cautious but hopeful. Ethan escorted her home, the engagement ring still tucked away in his drawer. He promised he'd return it to her finger when they both felt truly ready. Just as the path seemed to open for Ethan and Olivia's reconciliation, life threw yet another curveball. One afternoon, Sophia called him, panic trembling in her voice. "Liam's in the hospital." She gasped. He was playing at recess, and he just collapsed. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. Within an hour, he was on a private jet to Seattle, Olivia promising to join him if needed. The flight felt excruciatingly long. By the time he landed, Sophia texted him an update. Doctors suspected a minor cardiac arrhythmia, possibly a congenital quirk. They were running tests. Ethan rushed to the hospital, heart pounding. He found Sophia in a waiting area, eyes puffy from crying. She gestured toward the pediatric ward where the other two boys, Noah and Owen, were quietly coloring. Seeing him, they jumped up, tearful but relieved. "Dad," Noah cried, hugging him tight. Owen stood close, clutching Ethan's coat. "Is Liam going to be okay?" Ethan tried to steady his voice. "Yes, buddy. He's tough. Let's go see him." They found Liam hooked up to monitors, and force snaking from his arm. His eyes lit up at the sight of his father. "Dad," he murmured, weakly smiling. Ethan's heart broke. He sat by the bed, stroking Liam's hair. "I'm here. Son, you'll be all right." Sophia explained that the doctors believed it was a mild arrhythmia that might require medication or a minor procedure, but it wasn't life-threatening. Relief washed over Ethan like a tidal wave, though worry still gnawed at him. He stayed in Seattle for the next few days, ensuring Liam received the best possible care. He even arranged for one of the top pediatric cardiologists, Dr. David Chun, a real specialist from UCLA Medical Center known for his expertise in arrhythmias, to consult on the case. The Cole name opened doors, and Ethan used every resource to help his son. Olivia called repeatedly to check in. At one point, Ethan stepped outside the hospital to update her. "They say he'll be fine," he explained. "Maybe medication, maybe a procedure, but the prognosis is good." Olivia's sigh of relief was audible. "Thank God. When will you be back?" Ethan hesitated. "I don't know. I need to make sure he's stable. It could be a week or more." A pause. "All right. I understand. I miss you." He closed his eyes, exhaustion saturating him. "I miss you, too." They hung up. He stared at his phone, wrestling with the realization that, more than ever, he was needed in Seattle. Part of him felt guilty. He had a life in New York, a fiancé, and a business empire. But the father in him knew that right now, his priority was Liam's health. Liam's condition stabilized, and he was discharged with a prescription and instructions for follow-up visits. Relieved, Ethan extended his stay to help Sophia with the children at home. They settled into a cautious routine, morning medication for Liam, a quiet day of rest, plenty of distracting activities for Noah and Owen. During this time, Sophia and Ethan rediscovered an easy camaraderie born from the shared goal of caring for their son. One evening, once the boys were asleep, they found themselves in the living room of Sophia's modest house, sipping tea. "I never expected this scenario," Sophia confessed softly. "Our children bonding with you. You staying in my home. Us working together." Ethan nodded, gazing around at the evidence of Sophia's life. Children's drawings pinned to the fridge, an art easel in the corner, second-hand furniture meticulously maintained. "It's humbling. I spent years building a penthouse in New York. But this place, it has heart." She blushed slightly. "It's not much, but it's ours." He set his mug down, voice gentle. "I like it, and I'm proud of you. You've done so much for them on your own." She took a breath, eyes glistening with gratitude. "I appreciate that. But now you're part of their lives, and I'm glad." He hesitated before adding, "Sophia, I'm sorry for everything that happened back then." She gave a slight nod, tears brimming. I've spent so long resenting how we ended. But maybe we were both too stubborn, too prideful. We just lost our way. They lapsed into a pregnant silence, old wounds mingling with new tenderness. Both recognized a second chance hovered in the air, but neither was certain it was wise. A week later, once Liam was well enough, Ethan flew back to New York. Upon his return, he found Olivia had redecorated part of the penthouse, tucking away wedding paraphernalia. She seemed relieved to see him, though a hint of jealousy shadowed her gaze when he spoke passionately about caring for the boys in Seattle. They resumed discussions about the wedding, but everything felt different. Ethan had missed multiple planning sessions and had been wholly consumed by fatherhood. Olivia, yearning for reassurance, pressed him about setting a new date. He hesitated. Liv, I want to marry you, but I can't do a grand wedding in a few months and juggle all of this. Liam might need follow-ups. I'll be traveling. My business is also at a critical juncture. She looked crestfallen. So, you want to delay it indefinitely? He took her hand. Not indefinitely. Just until we can find a stable rhythm. I owe it to the boys. Anger flashed in her eyes. So, I'm second priority. He exhaled, frustration mounting. It's not about priorities. It's about timing. Olivia, I'm in uncharted territory here. She wrenched her hand away. No, Ethan, you just don't want to commit to me. He felt the sting of her words. That's not fair. I love you, but I can't pretend my children's needs don't exist. She stood, shoulders quivering. Then maybe we're doomed. Ethan's voice trembled. Are we? Because I don't want to lose you. I also can't sacrifice my relationship with my sons. She stomped into the bedroom, slamming the door. Ethan gazed helplessly at the city lights through the window. A question haunted him. Could his life fit these two worlds together? Or would one inevitably be left behind? Days later, the tension between Ethan and Olivia reached a boiling point. She accused him of drifting away, of prioritizing Sophia and the boys over their relationship. In a moment of raw honesty, Ethan stated, I will never abandon my children. If that's what you need to hear, then we're not right for each other. Devastated, Olivia broke down, sobbing that she didn't want him to abandon them. She just felt overshadowed. Ethan, frustrated, tried to reassure her that there was room in his heart for both. But her insecurities ran deep. The tabloids, her mother, and her own fears had cemented the idea that Sophia and the children were a direct threat to her place in Ethan's life. At the height of this standoff, Sophia unexpectedly visited the penthouse. She was in New York for a legal matter related to a new child support arrangement. Olivia answered the door, face pale, eyes red from crying. Sophia tried to offer a cordial greeting, but Olivia unleashed months of pent-up hostility. You ruined my life, she shouted, tears streaking her cheeks. You show up out of nowhere with 3 kids. And now Ethan is slipping away. Shaken, Sophia put up her hands. I'm sorry for how this happened, but I didn't plan any of this to hurt you. These children exist, and they need their father. Olivia's anger erupted. You had years to tell him. Why now? Just before our wedding. Sophia's eyes flickered with pain and frustration. Because I was scared and ashamed. And I believed I was doing the right thing. But yes, I should have come forward sooner. None of this was meant to sabotage your wedding. Ethan, drawn by the commotion, intervened. Enough, he said firmly. This blaming won't change anything. The kids are here, and we all have to deal with it. Olivia, I love you, but if you can't accept them, it's over. Sophia, you and I will co-parent, but you have to let me handle my relationship, too. The three stood in a tense triangle. Slowly, tears subsided, replaced by a weighted exhaustion. Sophia broke the silence, voice trembling. I'm sorry this turned into a confrontation. I only came to finalize paperwork. We'll be back in Seattle by tomorrow. She left, tears in her eyes. Olivia, drained, sank onto the sofa. Ethan stood equally spent, feeling a sense of finality in the air. That night, Ethan and Olivia confronted the harsh truth. They no longer trusted each other enough to move forward. The wedding postponement became a cancellation. Olivia packed her belongings the following day, leaving the penthouse with her head bowed. Ethan watched her go, a storm of regret and relief swirling within him. He knew the children deserved a father who was fully committed. Olivia deserved a partner who matched her vision for life. And he ultimately needed to reconcile the man he was with the father he'd become. For the next few weeks, Ethan poured himself into fatherhood from a distance. He set up regular flights to Seattle, ensuring he could attend Liam's follow-up appointments. He joined Noah for a father-son baseball outing. He marveled at Liam's new painting, now less overshadowed by medical worries. He challenged Owen to a trivia contest, losing by a landslide. Each memory cemented how crucial this role was in his life. As for Sophia, she continued to keep a respectful distance, focusing on her own path. Yet, whenever Ethan was in town, they collaborated seamlessly to support the boys. Time passed months, then nearly a year. Ethan learned to juggle business demands with fatherhood commitments. He purchased a second home in Seattle, modest compared to his Manhattan penthouse, but close to the boys. He spent 1 week a month there, sometimes more, gradually weaving his presence into their daily lives. The tabloids eventually moved on to news scandals. Olivia found new love in a philanthropic consultant. As gossip columns hinted, Ethan's heartbreak healed slowly. But with every child's laugh, every piece of shared artwork, every father-son game, he felt more confident he'd made the right decision. The triplets, once strangers, now adored their father, and he adored them. One sunny afternoon, after a day at Seattle's waterfront, Sophia and Ethan sat at a picnic table, watching the boys chase each other. She turned to him, a warm smile on her face. They're happier than I've ever seen them, she murmured. Ethan grinned, heart swelling. Me, too. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the past wounds fell away, replaced by something that felt an awful lot like old love, but tempered by maturity. He reached out, gingerly, brushing a stray hair from her face. She let him, tears glistening. Life is strange, she said softly. I never thought we'd be here. He nodded. We have a second chance. Maybe not just as parents, but as two people who once loved each other deeply. She took a shaky breath. Are you suggesting? Ethan hesitated, the vulnerability raw. Maybe we should see if there's a spark left. Slowly. For us. And for them. Sophia didn't respond with words. Instead, she placed her hand over his, interlacing their fingers, her eyes brimming with both fear and a renewed sense of possibility. In that moment, the triplets raced over, breathless and giggling. They piled onto the bench, hugging both parents. Ethan and Sophia exchanged a knowing smile. The love of their children bridging a gap they once believed insurmountable. Their journey was far from over. But this time, they faced it together, sustained by honesty, shaped by mistakes, and bound by unbreakable bonds of family. Thank you for joining us on this emotional roller coaster where Ethan Cole's life took a wild turn from a fairy tale engagement to a heartfelt reunion with his ex-wife and their 3 unexpected miracles. In the end, the ties that truly matter, those woven by love and responsibility, proved unbreakable. As Ethan embraced fatherhood and rediscovered a bond with Sophia, each character showed us that life can twist in unimaginable ways. But it's how we rise to meet those challenges that defines us. If this story moved you, made you laugh, or even shed a tear, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to bring more captivating real-life drama fiction to your screens. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Until next time, remember, sometimes the second chance we fear the most becomes the miracle we never knew we needed. Like, share, and subscribe.